Natively floating items would change everything in Final Fantasy XIV housing. Having full control over the XYZ axis is the dream, but right now the system is held together by glitches and mods. Glitches take hours to learn and are a nightmare to execute. Mods violate TOS and put your account at risk. Bypassing both natively would revolutionize how we design houses. When you look at what this community is capable of producing, it's sad that we're stuck with this. Square Enix's board needs to do better. It's not the development team's fault. Imagine grabbing a housing item, flying around in free cam, and placing it anywhere. No complex glitches, no risky mods, massive technical limitations prevent it, and I'm going to give a high-level breakdown of why. First, your camera is directly tethered to your character's mesh, hard-coded to your hitbox. The server authenticates placements using your physical coordinates. The engine's legacy architecture simply has no mechanism for a free cam build mode. It uses an invisible line called a raycast to validate you are physically close enough to place the item. Second, the UI lacks a native XYZ gizmo. Instead, it relies on gravity. It needs a solid collision along the Z-axis, like floors and tabletops, to validate an item placement. This is exactly how most floating glitches work. The engine just needs to detect a collision on a solid mesh surface. On your end, the game is running a physics simulation, but there is a massive disconnect between that physics engine and the server's database. This is exactly why glitches and mods function. The server's database is just a ledger. It doesn't care if gravity requirements are met. It just stores mathematical values. Glitches and mods exploit this loophole. The final issue is the void. All video games require persistent coordinates. Players and objects must stay within a safe playable area. Once something leaves that range, the math breaks down. As you push out further, the numbers get too big for the engine to track. But here's the catch. It doesn't crash the servers. The servers happily save those massive numbers. What it does is crash the game client. If you build too deep into the void, the engine can no longer render the math, and it force closes. In an MMO, this is disastrous. If too many people did void builds, it wouldn't bring the data center down, but it would completely nuke that housing ward. It would crash the game of anyone who tried to walk inside. Because of this, there are no simple solutions. The current engine cannot natively decouple your camera from your character. Attempting to force this onto the legacy 2.0 architecture either breaks the game engine or bloats the servers, causing RAM and CPU bottlenecks and massive downtime. Creative Studio 3 would have to redesign the engine from scratch. Final Fantasy XIV 3.0 is ultimately what's needed. But to accomplish this, Yoshi P's team needs resources Square Enix has neglected to give them. Fortunately, Square Enix's CEO recently looked into the whole operation and basically admitted Creative Studio 3 makes all the money and we're stretching them way too thin. It's time for that to change. Square Enix needs to actually invest in a game that makes all the money so a complete overhaul of Final Fantasy XIV from the ground up can actually happen. Thank you for watching. I hope one day our opinions can actually matter. Your support means the world to me.